It's yours.
It's mine. Welcome, everybody. We'll give a couple of minutes for everybody to get into the room here, but welcome to this session with Alexa Bigwarfe. I'm Tara Alamany from Emerald Lake Books, and Alexa is a dear friend of mine. We've become, we've had all sorts of wonderful conversations over the last couple of years and supported one another's conferences. And so I'm really looking forward to having her here today to talk about smashing your book launch. I know when we talk with our authors, that's something that we plan for from the time we begin working on the project. We start planning on the book launch. And we have a course called Book Launches Simplified, where people can kind of walk through that on their own. But Lexa's got some wonderful ideas to add in addition to that and on top of that, and doing all sorts of neat stuff. So I'm looking forward to hearing what she has to share today. So Alexa, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you so much, Tara. Ditto to what you said. You know, this is one of the best parts about this industry is that I think everybody is so open and welcome and sharing and willing to work with each other. And anytime you can make partnerships, this is relevant to our presentation today, anytime you can make partnerships and collaborate with others in this industry, other authors, other people who are doing similar things to you, you have the opportunity to expand your reach and to collaborate and do fun things together that makes your book marketing more fun. So I would love to hear in the chat, one of the first things I want to know about my audience is, what are you writing? I have a presentation that I'm going to go through that has examples from all genres, but I'll spend a little more time. If everybody here is mostly nonfiction or fiction, I can spend a little bit more time on those relevant slides. So, all right. Hi, Deborah. We've got a nonfiction author. Great. If you just want to throw those in the chat. Memoir. Okay, great. Crime, mystery, fiction. All right, so from the 4 results that we have, we've got a blend of things. So I'll spend a little bit of time on each genre. And what I want you to know is that all of these marketing techniques can be applied to any genre. Just take a step back and think, how would I make this work for me, for my book, for my audience? Keeping your audience always in the forefront of your marketing mind, what they want, what they like, what they're going to be interested in. All right, let me go ahead and pull up my presentation and we'll get into it. I have a lot to cover today. I talk fast. This is being recorded. As soon as I get the recording generated, I will send it over to Tara so that she has access to that. You'll get the slides. So I encourage you to just listen today and note that you can go back and rewatch the video or rewatch the slides. And we'll also be talking about our program, Book Launch in a Box, at the end of this, and then I will make sure to answer all of your questions. On that note, there is a Q&A box. Please use that for your questions. That way I make sure that I don't miss anything, because I will not be looking at the chat, except for right now while I ask, can someone please let me know that you can see the slides?
Yes, we can see the slides.
Okay, great. Well, here we go. Today, we're here to talk about how to smash your book launch, because if you're here, if you're learning about marketing, if you're doing these things, it's because you don't want to just publish a book and put it out there. You want to publish your book out there and actually sell it. You want to make sure that you're actually receiving back from all of your hard work and effort that comes in there. I'm going to talk to you about numerous things today, but first let me tell you who I am in case you have never met me, either in Tara's conference or the Women in Publishing Summit. I am an author myself. I've written both nonfiction and fiction books. Hope to get a children's book out there one day. I am also an author coach, a publisher, book launcher, podcaster. I host a big summit each year called the Women in Publishing Summit, and monthly webinars and training opportunities through the womeninpublishingsummit.com. But of all the things that I do, the thing that I really enjoy the most is book marketing and book launches, because this is the culmination of our efforts. It's not the end of our efforts. It's the beginning of a very long journey of love with our book and getting it out there into the world. But it can be tedious. It can be frustrating. It can feel like you don't see anything back from anything that you're doing. And it can also be the most amazing fun that you will ever have. Maybe not ever. I've done some pretty fun things. I'm sure you've done some fun things too. These are my companies. Why am I the person to tell you about this? I've been working with both self-published, hybrid published, and traditionally published authors for over a decade now. which I know isn't a long time in the span of our lives, but feels like a very long time to me. And I have both a company called Write, Publish, Sell that works to help authors as they self-publish or are learning all the things that they need to learn to write, publish, and sell their book, regardless of route to market. Of course, we have the Women in Publishing Summit. And then I have 3 of my own presses: Cat Biggie Press, Chrysalis Press, and Purple Butterfly Press. And so I have a broad experience in working across the realm of types of routes to publication and many launches under my belt. Okay, so what are we going to talk about today? Overall, how to get the most success out of your book launches. We're going to talk about the types of launches. Know and understand that this is not everything you could possibly do, every way to ever launch your book. This is not a you must do it one of these 4 ways. This is just the 4 main ways that when I'm working with authors or publishing one of our books, these are the 4 main ways that we look at with launches. And there's lots of other opportunities to do things differently. Again, keeping your readers in mind, your audience in mind, and your goals in mind, which we'll talk about as we talk about goals and realistic expectations. I'm going to give you some tips for setting yourself up for success. And if you've already launched your book, don't worry, I've got some tips for you too. There's the beauty of self and even hybrid hybrid publishing is that you can continue to launch and relaunch your book and to do things to get it back out there again in front of new readers. And the most important thing we're going to look at is some case studies. This is where I get into the weeds about what we have done working with different authors and talking about the steps that they've taken to get in front of readers. And then, of course, I'll talk quickly about book launch in a box and then into the Q&A. A lot of words here, basically just to say 2 things. It's hard to market a book. If it was easy, we'd all be millionaires, as my friend and author Casey Whitener told me on a walk one time when I was lamenting all of the difficulties with marketing books. Even for experts, y'all, this is hard. I'm sure Tara would agree. Marketing is difficult. It is difficult to find new readers, new buyers, reviewers, all of those types of things. But if you're willing to do the work and willing to take the steps necessary, it becomes a lot easier. And then another one of our students, our people in our systems and schools, Linda Needham, who is a like 30 plus romance books, I believe. I might be making that number up, but a lot of romance books. She's hit the USA Today bestseller and has decided to go indie and self-publish her books. And she talks about the fact that when she was doing this with the big 5, all the marketing, the majority of the marketing was done for her back in the day. But now as an indie author, there's so much that she has to learn. And you've got to put on this mindset of I am an author. I am also a publisher now if you're self-publishing, and I have to learn these things so that I can do them well. The types of launches that I'm going to go over today include rapid release, passion project, traditional, and relaunch. It's really important to have an idea of what type of launch you want to do long before you start planning that launch so that you know your activities that you need to set up to make this a success. So for anyone who's writing fiction, this can apply to anyone who's writing a series of any type. It could even be applied to nonfiction, but it works really, really well with romance, with YA, with anything that you can literally rapidly release one after the other. If you're thinking of writing a series, I strongly encourage you to have at least 2, if not 3 of the books done and pretty far in the process, so that you can think about considering a rapid release type thing. If that's not that doesn't have to be you can start off. I'll talk to you about a book in a minute that is a series that is a slow release, but hopefully we'll get to the point where rapid release can become something. This is one way that you can market yourself literally through the release of more books. And Ellie Hall, I just interviewed her on my podcast not too long ago. She writes a book a month. She publishes a book a month. Can you even imagine? I cannot imagine. It took me about 5 years to get out my first my first fiction book. So, but this is one of her parts of her big strategy. She's also growing her email list. She's also doing social media, but her true marketing effort is in continuing to put books out there. And each time she puts another one out there, if you notice book number 1, 1,734, 4.5 stars. That's because every time a new book comes out, it markets to the backlist. It markets to what's already out there. And people go back and go all the way through, which is just a beautiful thing to see. She did report that it took her about 2 series before she saw livable wages. And when I asked her what livable wages she meant, she could support her bills each month. She could pay for the family's bills each month with her royalties. That's what we want. Another rom-com author, and I'm not going to spend much time on this one, but this is one of my favorite rom-com authors, Emma St. Clair. She operates in a very similar manner. She does not release a book a month, although in some cases, as you can see, she was pretty darn close, but she does follow a 4 to 5 to 6 book a year launch strategy. And again, each time a new one comes out, does that marketing for you. Another example of a rapid release would be if you have a very specific goal in mind for your book. Dinner for $1 by my friend Shelley. It was a book that she wrote that she wanted to build a business around. Her goal was to help busy moms on a budget, learn how to prepare clean, wholesome, allergy-friendly meals for $1 a day per serving. And she did the book, took her time to do that, did a rapid release. She didn't do any marketing prior to the release of the book because this book was going to be the staple for building her business around it. Same thing with Sunshine After the Storm, which was actually my first book. It's a collaborative project for mothers who have experienced the loss of a pregnancy, infant, or older child. And we did no marketing before the launch of this. Our goal was to get it out by October 15th, which was Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness Day. And that was our marketing push, was having that book available. Of course, we didn't really want to market the book. We wanted to get it into the hands of the mothers who needed it. So in this case, kind of overlaps with Passion Project, which I'm going to tell you about in a minute. But it's this idea that you need to meet a certain point in time to get a book out for whatever reason. Maybe you're an expert and you're going to a conference and you want your book available to sell at the back of the room or to give to attendees, and you have a specific date or goal. Then you're not going to spend as much time. I'm going to spend a lot of time going through the traditional process, which is a very long road. That's not the road you would take for a project like this. You would get it out there, and then you would use the book as your marketing tool for bringing in more people for growing your business. A passion project truly is something that is a passion to you. It is a book that you have written and you want to get into the world, but you're not really looking for bestseller status. You're not looking for thousands of reviews. You're not looking to make a lot of money from it. It's maybe your grandmother's recipes, maybe your journey across the Himalayas, maybe something like that, where you have this book that you just really want to get into the world, but you don't care about the other stuff. So one of my clients, Haley Hunter Hines, had written this beautiful book. She had been talking to her clients and her friends and family about it. And she knew that the people in her community wanted this book, but she also knew she was not interested in spending a lot of time marketing it. She didn't care if it sold beyond that group of people. She just wanted it out there. So literally the day after the final files were received, it was loaded to Amazon and published was hit. And that is an option. But it had the results that we expected. There were no major moments of, wow, and look at all these sales and all this kind of stuff, but it accomplished what she wanted to do. So there's no shame in that. Then there's a relaunch. Maybe you've already published your book and it is not going the way that you thought. Maybe the cover's gotten bad feedback. Maybe the interior's gotten bad feedback. Maybe people are leaving horrible reviews because it didn't get that final edit, or there's people finding mistakes or other things like that. You can choose to completely relaunch your book with a brand new book, a brand new cover, brand new ISBN. Now you can relaunch a book by just doing small changes. If you find some edits you want to change, just reload that and you can market it as a relaunch without a new ISBN, et cetera, et cetera. But these two ladies did major revisions to their books. They got new covers and they released them as brand new books. And it went very well for both of them. One, they'd had the time to build their audience in the time that they did this. They got feedback on their old book and implemented all of that feedback to improve the book, and then did what they needed to relaunch with much more aggression, we should say, but whatever a positive word for that is, much more vigor, and had great results. Assertiveness. Yes, there we go. That's a more positive word. And both of them have seen great sales on the second edition of their book. And by the way, this is not my spelling mistake. This is KDP's spelling mistake. That's a screenshot from KDP. Anyway, so this is an option that you have too, especially if you've already launched your book and haven't seen what you want. Maybe get some feedback. Is the cover maybe not getting great stuff? What are people saying in the reviews that might be causing them to not enjoy the book? It's your opportunity to do a do-over, your mulligan, if you will. Okay, now I'm gonna spend the bulk of my presentation talking about the traditional launch. The longer that I'm in this business, the more I have come to know and understand that there is a very big, important reason why the timeline for traditional publishing is so long. Now, part of it is the process to get your book produced, but a big part of it is launch scheduling and the timeline and the effort that goes into getting a book into the world. All the things that the traditional publishers want to do, and even hybrid publishers want to do to set you up for success at your launch, making sure that it's available with plenty of time for ARC copies and galley copies and getting it into the hands of advanced readers to create buzz, making sure that it's positioned in all the places with trade reviews and all of those types of things. These are growing the audience, getting the author out there in front of new audiences. These are things that take time, and the results are generally very, very worth it. And I know we get so excited. We're like, I've finished this book. My friends, my family are asking when it's going to be out. I want to launch it. I want to release it. I want to blah, blah, blah. Take your time. I promise you it will be worth it in the long run to do some of the things we're going to talk about. Again, it's very important to revisit your goals. What do you want from your launch? What is the thing that would make you feel the most successful? Is it a number of reviews? Is it sales? Is it growing your audience, growing your email list? Is it putting yourself out there as the expert? Is it getting speaking events? Is it to rapidly release this series that you've been working on your whole life and now you're just ready to get this book out there? You have to think about what you're trying to do and set up your marketing around achieving those goals. The rapid release obviously is going to use a lot less growth on the front end, but you have to know that book launch day is not going to be, mind-blowing, but what you do after is very important. And it's always important to remember expectations must be realistic. Selling books is a numbers game, pure and simple. Okay, it's not so simple. You have to have a good cover. You have to have a great book. You have to have people that actually want your book. You have to have all of those things. We're just going to pretend that's a given. We've already done the work to make that happen. When it comes to launching that book, you absolutely must have a certain number of people to reach a certain number of sales. Lots of people want to be New York Times bestsellers until they realize they have to sell between 5 to 100,000 copies, 5,000 to 100,000 copies in like 1 week. Why is that so broad? The industry standard basically says, a number that we're looking at is about 5,000 to 10,000 sales across multiple sales platforms, 3 at a minimum. So it can't just be Amazon. It's got to be Amazon, Apple Books, Nook, talking ebooks here, multiple sales outlets in 1 week. But if, let's say, Obama and Michelle Obama, Brene Brown, I don't know, name another famous person, are all launching books that week, and there's 10, 15, 20 famous people launching books, they may be selling 15, 20, 100,000 copies. So now you're competing with those numbers as well. So it's not just, oh, great, I sold 6,000 copies. I know I'm going to make a list. Oh, no. And let me just tell you, to sell 6,000 copies of a book, even for small and medium, sometimes even for large publishers, is extremely difficult. Possible, but there's a lot of work that has to be done a long time in advance. So think about your goals and then figure out what it is you want to do to hit those goals.
We made the mistake once of launching a book called Love Your Life, which is about learning how to be happy, the same day that the Dalai Lama launched his book on happiness.
Oh boy.
So we could hit number 2, but there was no way we could get number 1 ever.
Exactly. But these are things like, now that everybody's aware of this, you can go out and you can look at your category and see what's on pre-order, because they'll be on pre-order, what those launch days are, and try to avoid anybody famous. That took me a while to learn. Okay. It's so important that you have a plan. It's so important that you have a plan. You cannot just say, unless book sales are not your goal, then that's a plan in itself. But you cannot just say, I'm just going to launch this book and hope something good happens. You cannot just say, I'm going to try all these things. I heard this person talking about this, and I heard this person talking about this, and oh, I'm going to run some ads, and oh, I'm going to do this. Okay, you can do that, but it's really hard when you do too many things and you do them out of order. You're going to be a mess. I'm going to be a mess for you. Whenever I've done it that way, I've just wanted to be curled up in a ball in the corner with a very large drink that takes away all of my woes. So do things in an order that makes sense and create that plan to get there. A traditional launch strategy, Alexa's version, the Write, Publish, Sell version that we teach, that we implement, that we use in our own publishing houses, is based on the big goal of creating as much buzz as possible. You want people talking about your book before your launch, as long as possible before your launch. Why? Word of mouth marketing is still the king and queen and all the things when it comes to selling books. I'm telling you what, when people start talking about your book on social media, when people start reviewing it on Goodreads, book buyers and librarians, and more importantly, oftentimes, other readers are seeing that. They're hearing it. They're looking for that. They're part of this process. So the more that you can do to get your book out there so that people are talking about it in the places that people talk about books, the greater opportunity you have for other people learning about your book. For indie authors, advanced readers and reviewers are the most important people in your world for that launch time. Having other people talk about your book is so critical. It will help you grow your audience if you're using the tools properly. And you can use tools like social media as one avenue. It's not the only thing that you can do, but it's a strong avenue. And we've seen this with Book Talk on TikTok over the last 2-3 years, how much it has literally driven buying strategies of retailers, buying strategies of readers. It is playing a role in what books people are buying, social media, but especially Book Talk. So consider those things if it's an avenue for you. If it's not, move on to something else. There's plenty of other opportunities to do this. Okay, but trade reviews, editorial reviews, marketing to librarians and retailers, these can all be ways that you expand your tentacles of your platform into other places so that other people are hearing about your book and doing it. But ladies and gentlemen, reviews and sales are going to be what drive your success on launch day. That's how you get up to the top of the charts. We can have a full day discussion on whether or not being a top seller on Amazon is worth it or not, whether you need it or not. We're just going to say the best way for your book to have the most visibility is to be at the top of the charts. And to be at the top of the charts, you have to have reviews and sales. And that comes from doing all these things in advance that we're going to talk about. If you've already launched your book, you can still go back and find reviewers. There's nothing that says you can't put your book on a free download on a book funnel and share that with people and ask them to review your book. You cannot ask them explicitly to go leave a review on Amazon in exchange for a copy of your book, but you can give them the book and ask them to review it on their blog, on their website, on Amazon, on Goodreads, any of those places, and hope that they actually do. So first and foremost, I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about knowing and understanding your reader, because that, again, is a lesson in itself. But you do need to understand who's reading my book, who's going to want to buy my book, why, where are they, where do they look for book recommendations, how do I get their attention, what is going to make them actually want to tell people about my book, share about it, review it, recommend, all those types of things. And in fiction, the genre fiction, it's understanding the expectations of your readers is critical, because we had someone post that they're writing a sci-fi book. So let's say you write a sci-fi book and you don't follow any of the norms of the genre, your readers will tear you to pieces. You need to know that genre. You need to know what their expectations are with the cover, with the description, with what's going to happen in that book, with the beats of the book, with the story arc, with all of those things. So that's not marketing per se, but those things will heavily impact your marketing. How you set your own specific time frame is to take a look at where your book currently is in the process, and then make sure that you have enough time to do the things that you're going to do based on the strategy that you're going to create. So I'm encouraging you to have 3 to 6 months minimum of an ARC available, which is an uncorrected proof, an advanced reader copy, galley copy is the print version, whatever you want to call it, something that you can hand to readers, PDF format. Generally, an easy way to do it is through BookFunnel. There's lots of opportunities for places to put it, but you want 3 to 6 months. And if you're going for editorial or trade reviews, you need that book ready I would say 4 to 6 months minimum. Some of them require it 4 to 6 months out, and others, some of the paid ones like Kirkus, etc., take 8 to 12 weeks to get that review in. But you want that time to include those reviews, to reuse those as your marketing, etc. So 3 to 6 months, have that advanced reader copy ready. So then you just back everything else up. Okay, if I need a pretty final version of my book, of course, you're going to go through and get a print copy and do another final proofread and make all your changes and all that kind of stuff, but pretty close to final, edited, formatted, all those things. How long is it going to get you to get to that point? So where are you in editing? Where are you in formatting? Where are you in all of those things? Give yourself plenty of time to do that with 3 to 6 months for marketing on the end. I do want to talk quickly about budget because it's important. You cannot market a book for free. I'm just going to make that statement. Then I'm going to go back and say, yes, you can. But here's the caveat. To market anything for free, you have to have a lot of time and a lot of audience. So if you are a year or two away from your launch, there is a lot that you can do at no major cost, right? You still have time. You may still need to buy some images for graphics. You may still need to pay your cover designer to use in marketing. You may still need to do some of those things. But for the most part, growing your email list, you're going to have to pay for that, pay for your website, all those types of things. Those are pretty small costs in the grand scheme of things, but you can start building your email list, building your audience, doing those types of things so that you don't have to spend as much money on marketing. But there are some other things that I think are pretty important to consider in your budget and to start planning for, like giving away print copies to readers, to influencers, to media, to people who are going to, help share about your book. That can be a variety. You can spend as little or as much on doing that. I think the price has gone up on the Goodreads giveaway at this point, but it's in that $100 to $150 range. Great investment of money, and to run those in the few weeks prior to your launch. I'll talk about Goodreads later. You may need to hire some help. A lot of this stuff, we don't come into it knowing how to do, maybe posting reels or graphics or setting up social media or setting up your email on your website, doing all those types of things. You might want to hire somebody to come in and help you. So there's a wide range in budget, depending on how many hours they work for you, how long you keep them, all of that. Marketing and ad spend, $1,000 is basically my minimum, but you're going to put $1,000 into something. I'm going to put $1,000 into something, ads, all those other things that you're doing to try and get some marketing, maybe running some promo tours, which I have also included lower. If you're going to have a party, I threw myself a very big indulgent book party because I've been writing my book for so long, and it was also around my birthday, but you can decide if that's something you want to do and how much you want to spend. Swag and giveaways, fun, optional, but a lot of fun to give out stickers or other fun things that go along with your book. And then paid promos and review sites. Again, trade reviews run for the paid ones like Kirkus, Indie Reader, Clarion, anywhere between $250 to $500 or $600, but they are valuable if you get that great review to be able to share. And then paid promos would be lists like Written Word Media, Robin Reads. There's a whole list of them that once your book is published, you can do a free download day or reduced price download day, and they send it out to their curated list. Those cost anywhere between $50 to $300, depending on the size of the list and the genre and all of that. And I'll show you the results of one of those in a minute. We want to be as excited as these two little youngins on launch day when we're looking and checking those stats and seeing what's happening, because this is a lot of time, energy, money, effort going into it. We want to make sure that we have the happy face, not the sad face. All right, so just really quickly, for those of you who've already launched your book, you can still implement a lot of these things that we talked about. Some trade and editorial reviews you cannot get after your book is published, but many of them will allow you to pay for one after the fact. Something to consider. It's never too late to give people copies of your book, to run giveaways, to give it to people who are in the right places with the right audiences to share about it. You can go out and start seeking awards and more reviews, review sites, running Instagram promos, all kinds of things. And the Instagram promos are, again, curated launch efforts or marketing efforts where a whole bunch of people are posting about your book. You can continue to build your email list through all kinds of activities, and market your book through your email list when people are on there. The paid promo campaigns that I mentioned, collaborating with other authors for group promos. There's several sci-fi, there's several nonfiction. If your audiences align, you can come together and say, all right, everybody, let's put our ebook on 99 cents, and all 6 of us are going to send out an email to all of our people, and we're going to send all the people. You can do group promos in BookFunnel and other tools of this nature. So there's lots of ways. Do not stop. All right, let's go into some case studies here. I'm going to start with a children's book, and then we'll move through the genres. So this book is actually officially launching on May 9th. It's published through my children's book company, Purple Butterfly Press. It's a beautiful book, a very lovely watercolor book about a little girl who wants to make her seaweed soup, and she's recruiting some help, winds up doing it by herself. It's a story of resilience and independence and, beautiful beach scenery. This book was actually published back in the 80s, I believe, through a traditional publisher. And it went out of print, and she wanted to update it, make it look a little bit more representative of today's times, update the illustrations and all of those types of things. So she came to us, and we went through the process of republishing. She has been amazing. Antoinette has been very engaged in this process, and you must be as an author. No matter how you are publishing your book, you need to be very engaged in your marketing. We've had a long-term strategy for media exposure and growth. She's done media appearances. She has 5 or 6 booked up for May, where she's going to different events at different places and getting in front of readers and communities. She's coordinated all kinds of things to talk about her book. We've been building the launch team and advanced readers. In the last time I checked the Facebook group, there were over 90 people in her launch group. We're providing them content and information to share and to provide. They've received advanced reader copies. Hopefully on launch day, they're all going to go over and make sure their reviews are ready. They've already left reviews on Goodreads, which is great. She's got a very aggressive presence on Instagram, so posting a lot. We're, I think, 6 days out from launch now, so she's doing a countdown. She's doing all kinds of things to get everyone engaged. We're running some giveaways, doing all these fun things. Excuse me. We also did a children's book review tour. If you're a children's book author, you should Google children's book review. They do dedicated reviews. They do a variety of marketing efforts, including a tour, and I'll show you some of the things that they're doing. We submitted her to all kinds of editorial and trade review sites, including like the School Library Journal, different places like that. It went out in an e-blast to children's book librarian list that the Independent Book Publishers Association runs once a quarter. We've got a Goodreads giveaway going on right now. We put our book on NetGalley, and if you're not familiar with NetGalley, that's a place where you can put your book at any time, but prior to launch is best. Librarians look there, retailers look there, and lots of readers look there. So you can see that's not activities that just happen on launch day or a month before. These are things we've been working on for months and months and months. Her book is traditionally distributed, so we did have print copies of her book that we did a print run, and we've had those for 2 or 3 months. So we've been sending out books. This is an example of the children's book review tour and the places that they set up. We paid them, they did all the work, they found the reviewers, they scheduled the tour, they got all the assets to them, and now we're just watching as these wonderful reviews have been coming in across blogs, across Instagram, across other places. We also did a giveaway, and I took a screenshot of this, whatever 22 days ago was, and or ish. And this is kind of a cool thing that they do because children's book, because teachers are such a core element of marketing for children's books. We decided to do a 30 book set as our main giveaway. So we've got people entering for this. One teacher will win an entire classroom set of this book. And then we have 5 additional winners who will receive a single copy of the book. So these are other ways that you can get people interested in your book, following your book, and getting the book into the hands of people who need it. So to the left here, we have the screenshot of the listing that went out to all of the children's book librarians. And of course, when they click more, they go over to the website with all the order information and all of those things. They've got the information that they need to look it up in their systems. And then this is a Goodreads page. Again, this screenshot is a little bit outdated. There's more reviews up there now, but A lot of the people who have seen it on NetGalley have come over and left their reviews on Goodreads as well. So this is a great opportunity to grow some excitement around your book. An example of what the NetGalley looks like when people are leaving their reviews and other people can see them. But I love this. And this is where that you can see how reviews can influence people. We have a pre-K teacher who is telling other teachers or homeschoolers how they can use this in their teaching during the family theme or or other ways. So that sometimes the reviews can just be such great gold, because now we can use this and we can tell other teachers, this is a book you can use during your family theme, or you can contrast it to blah, 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 etc. So NetGalley is not an inexpensive tool, but it's a very effective tool for finding reviewers. I'm going to talk a bit about NetGalley later, though, because there are some caveats to NetGalley. And then, of course, we got a really exceptional Kirkus, a great Kirkus review back. And we're happy with anything positive that comes out of Kirkus, because sometimes they can be a little bit snarky, and they post this on their website, they send it out to their folks, and it's just another, and it's known by librarians and retailers as an objective, fairly objective review site, so they can trust that if Kirkus has put out a positive review, it's probably a decent book. And again, some of Antoinette's activities, getting her fans all riled up and ready to go. All right, moving into nonfiction. Now, this is a business book. It's a writing resource book, actually, but can fall under the research and writing tools, or even business, if you look at it from a business of writing a better book to grow your author business. But Linda put out this book. She has, again, written many romance books, and she decided, I'm going to write a book for for other people who want to be successful with romance books. So she spent a lot of time connecting with her target audience and making those personal connections. She's already in a lot of writing groups and in spaces like the Women in Publishing Summit, where she has a large audience of writers. So she could really dig into those. She grew her Instagram presence. She submitted for a Kirkus review. She's been giving out advanced reader copies to her audience in her group, to her connections, and getting them to share about it. And future marketing activities, she is already booked for one workshop that she's using, which her book is the basis of her workshop. Her activities, she happened to launch this book the week of the Women in Publishing Summit. So she was in a great setting with a lot of romance writers and other writers who wanted to support her. And she did hit her #1 at the top of the charts there, which was great. Now, she hasn't been using Goodreads as much, but my recommendation is for her to run a Goodreads giveaway to pull in potentially. There's a lot of authors out on Goodreads, so there may be an opportunity for her to grow her followers on Goodreads by participating in that and getting more reviews over there. Okay, now we move into a rom-com fiction book. So 4 Days in Paris was launched in December. Again, we implemented many of the same strategies that we have done before, worked on influencer and reviewer campaigns. We did an Instagram tour with a company called Love Book Tours. So for 2 weeks, people were posting the image of the cover or fun pictures of Paris along with their reviews and getting people fired up about it. It went on NetGalley, got some great reviews, got some not so great reviews on NetGalley. I'm going to talk about that in a second. Ran a Goodreads giveaway, did some paid promotions, and I'll show you the results of that in a second. I was talking about the paid promos earlier. Heavily used an advanced reader team. Now, this one did not have the long tail marketing for a couple of reasons. This is book 1 in a series, and the goal is to continue to release books to market the backlist, but it is still at least 6 months in the marketing, with lots of Instagram posts, sharing things about Paris, and Instagram sharing posts of other people holding the book. The Instagram was actually a pretty useful tool. Following other readers that were reviewing similar books grew the Instagram account really quickly. And then, of course, Love Book Tours featured the book over a period of a little bit longer than a week, creating a lot of buzz and excitement around that. Now, the reason I wanted to talk to you about NetGalley is because NetGalley reviewers, you just have to know going into it, really take their job as a reviewer very seriously. 3 stars are actually good reviews, decent reviews. It is not saying this is a bad book when you get a 3-star on NetGalley. It's a little bit hard to stomach when we've been kind of trained that 5 stars you need, 4 stars are and 3 stars are, oh my gosh, what was wrong with my book? But check this out. She left a 3-star on this book and she said, overall, I really enjoyed it and I loved this book. So if you're going to use NetGalley, just know that your stars may be a little bit lower than what you're used to. Lots of these folks will put their reviews on Goodreads, so Goodreads may be a little bit lower than what you're used to, but it doesn't always translate to Amazon. And you can see what I'm talking about here. Lots of people who really enjoyed the book, giving it 4 stars, etc. So as you can see, the Goodreads reviews are a little bit lower than what we would love to see on there, but there's quite a few ratings and reviews, which is good. Whoops, good, because people are talking about it. And if people are really interested in your book, they will read some of the great reviews, they'll read some of the not great reviews and make a decision on themselves. But as you can see, it doesn't always translate that way to Amazon. The ratings are higher on Amazon, which is great. And I think, that's just kind of something that you have to be aware of when you go into it. So I was talking about the Goodreads giveaway. So running these Goodreads giveaway, what happens with the giveaway is they post your giveaway and then people have to take an action. They can add it to one of their bookshelves. They can add it to their want to read. They can add it to a specific shelf. But when they take this, when they enter the giveaway, they take those actions and that action shows up in the wall feed, kind of like any other social media tool. So their followers see their activity. So if I'm leaving a review on a book or posting something or putting it in my want to read, anyone who's following me on Goodreads, if they're scrolling through activity, will see that as well. So it can often prompt a lot of additional people to come in and request the book. It can be very, very successful in that way. And now you have all these people who are doing that. With the paid promos, again, you hire the list that you're going to use, you pay them, you give them your assets, that you pick your date, and on that date, they send out an email to everyone on their list for that type. So we ran this promo around Valentine's Day, since it's a romance book, and had basically 3,000 copies of the book downloaded for free on Kindle. Now, that's great because that's 3,000 people that may not have tried out a new author's book, but it may be years before those people actually read and review the book. Some people may forget it's even on their Kindle. That's happened to me before. So it may be a long time before you see this, but the good news is once they start reading that book, you get paid for the page reads, which is not a lot of money, but can put some more money back in there. And some people are making a lot of money from their page reads. You can also get reviews out of this, which is great. Counts as a verified purchase. You get your review. And that can be really, really helpful for moving your book on up through the ranks.
Alexa,
Again,
another strategy that we use with the Goodreads giveaways is we try and do them before the release date and
yes,
have the giveaway end before the release date, because
yes.
those who didn't win the giveaway, they're all notified on the release date that the book's gone out. So that's another bump in visibility for the title.
That is the exact strategy that we do as well. We run it, we stop it about 1 or 2 days before the launch. And yes, that's a great thing to do for extra visibility. Okay, so the Kirkus review. This book got a great Kirkus review, which was really wonderful. And in fact, they went on to feature the book in their catalog. So that catalog goes out to, I think they said they have 80,000 people on their email list that receives that catalog. So again, if it results in sales or it doesn't result in sales, maybe it puts it on the radar of a librarian or a retailer. There are just other opportunities that come out from Kirkus, and it's great to have an editorial review that you can share and brag on your book. I know we have one memoirist, so I threw in a memoir slide too. Again, this is a memoir Layla held for a moment. This is a book about a woman's experience with her stillborn baby, and she did a lot of outreach to other grief groups, writing groups, other people who are running grief support to mothers on social media. She's done a lot of speaking engagements. She did a lot of submissions to blogs and other places where she could write about this topic. She really did a lot of work growing that. Also the editorial reviews. She did a lot of work reaching out to blurbs from readers, advanced blurbs ahead. And I don't expect you to be able to see all the words from this, but this is just a portion of her editorial reviews on Amazon from all the people who wrote blurbs for her before the release of the book. So that was a long tail marketing, getting in front of other experts and getting them to leave really relevant reviews so that people can see what this book is about and who it's for. Again, connecting with influencers, getting the book on NetGalley, BookFunnel, outreaching, all of those types of things, running paid promos, again, running that promo around October 15th, Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness, and doing a big push for pre-orders. So as you can see, there's a lot of overarching similarities between these, with a big focus on getting the book in front of new readers, finding people that will talk about your book prior to the launch. And this takes time, takes strategy, it takes consistent actions, it takes outreach. It doesn't just stop at launch, it continues on. Don't throw spaghetti at the wall. We can't do that. We can't just try and make launch work for us. We have to make the launch work for us by doing the work that will make it work. Okay. So I'm going to, if y'all are interested in hearing about Book Launch in a Box, I would love a yes in there. I'm not a hardcore pusher salesperson, but I do run a program that goes through our process for doing all of these things. If you're interested in spending a minute to learn more about Book Launch in a Box, I have a 30% off coupon. It's starting in the next month. I would love to know if there's anybody who would be interested in hearing about that. You can just type yes. If there's nobody who types yes, then I am not even going to spend any time on it. Okay, we got at least one yes, so we're doing this. Okay. So Book Launch in a Box is our signature program that teaches you how to do all those things that I just talked about in the traditional process. We have 6 main modules, and each of those modules I'll go through very quickly, but we go through the process, we teach you the steps, we give you the tools to implement the steps, and we have guest experts who come in. We do live Q&A sessions so that you can get your questions answered, and we have a ton of bonuses to help you go through these things. So it's the next level implementation of all the things that we just talked about. This is not for anybody who's doing a rapid launch. There's no point. We don't do rapid launch in this. We do all the things, all the long tail launch. If you're already seeing sales, you don't need to purchase another book launch program. Put that money into marketing. If you just want to hire somebody to do everything for you, I encourage you to learn the process yourself, because you want to make sure you're giving good guidance. But if you're hands off, then this is not for you. If you have no time, if you're launching really soon, you could use this program if you're launching in August, or July or August, but it would be a rush to the finish line. And it's really more for anybody who is August at a minimum of this year, all the way out to August or September of next year or beyond. So it is for 3 to 6 months out from launch. If you're willing to spend some time to learn some things and actually do the work and implement, or hand it to your team to implement for you, if you have big goals, you want to see big things happen, and if you have the time to either do the book or are hiring, or do the marketing, or are hiring someone to help you. So in Fundamental 1, we talk about positioning. I bring in Pam Shepard, who is an expert on this topic of how to position your book in the marketplace. This means making sure that it's set up properly in the right categories, talking to the right people, that it's in the right market. That is so important. If you're not taking the time to position your book properly to be found by the right buyers, it's going to be very difficult for you. We've got several extra bonus workshops with that. And Pam comes in to do a live hour-long Q&A session about it. This has been a fundamental addition to our program, because the positioning really does impact so much else of what you're doing with your marketing. And this last year when we ran the program, it was the first time we had this one, and our students could not stop talking about how much of a difference this piece alone made for them. Fundamental 2 is creating buzz with retailers and librarians. So we're going to dig into what activities you need to be taking to make sure your book can be seen by retailers and librarians. We have some key bonus trainings as well, like how to, we have a spreadsheet for you to track your trade and editorial reviews, as well as places to submit it to. So they'll save you the time to go in and find all of those places. And then we have a tip sheet template, which your tip sheet, some people call it tip sheets, some people call it sell sheets, some people call it one sheets, your one page with all the key information about your book, what needs to be in there. We have some training on that, as well as a template to help you create your own and some other resources around that, because you'll use that to submit to librarians and retailers and even some of the review sites. Fundamental 3 is creating buzz for readers, for consumers, all the launch team activities, all of those types of things to help get the momentum going. We have bonus trainings on Bookstagram and influencers, some curated spreadsheets to help you keep track of all of this stuff, the tools and resources that we use, and then tools for helping you write your email sequence, because that's a huge piece of this, is getting people on your email list and how to properly communicate with them once they're on your email list. Fundamental 4 is messaging. This is so important. And it's not just messaging about what I post on social media. A big piece of this is the messaging that comes in with how you talk about your book to begin with. So your descriptions, your hooks, your log lines, when people see it on sales pages, is it connecting with them? We have a bonus training on that. We have more training on content strategy, what you're putting in your emails, what you're putting in your newsletters, what you're putting on your blogs, what you're putting on social media. It's really important to have your messaging down so that it's landing right with the right people. Expanding your reach, the last 2 units kind of roll through the pre-launch and then into post-launch as well. So this is the expanding your reach pre-launch. What are the things that you're doing to pre-launch and into launch? What are the things that you're doing to grow the number of people that you're exposed to, how you're getting your book in front of other people? We have a special bonus training on how to run paid promos, what list to use, the strategy that we use behind those, all of those types of things, but really, spreading the word. And then the final one is visibility, which is different from that, because now we're talking about you as the author, how you get more visibility. We'll be adding more content. I just pulled in another PR person who's going to be creating more content on getting earned and paid media, and some other topics. Once you've published this book, what you can do to get out there and talk about it, media and visibility, all the things that you need to know to be growing yourself as the person. So as the person people want to have on podcasts, as the person people want to have featured on their blog, or as a summit presenter, or any of those things, how do you get visible so that you can get in front of audiences and share your expertise and share your love of your craft, or share whatever it is, share your fiction book. This rolls across genres. This can be very, very effective for the nonfiction writers. But again, a lot of this you can translate into, how can I also do this as a fiction author? How do I get more visible? How do I get out there in front of other audiences? The cost of the program at full price is $897. I know that's a big question that people want to know, but I'm sorry, that date is wrong. I forgot to change that on this one. For Tara's audience, we have until Friday, which I believe is the 6th. Friday is when the 30% off ends. And when you get purchase Book Launch in a Box, you also get our Book Launch in a Box basics as a free bonus. And this goes into starting your social media or growing it, starting your launch team or growing it, starting your email list or growing it, all of those basic things, creating your landing pages, creating your book page on your website, creating your home base so that you have a place to send all these people once you're getting in front of them. So those are the basics laid out for you, and that's available immediately. And then the Book Launch in a Box program starts officially on June 5th. It is a combination of all the content is created for you. You'll have access to that to view as long as you want. And then every other week, we have live Q&A sessions throughout the 3 months of the official program. And then we run monthly Q&As throughout the entire year. So if you don't have time to watch the presentations during those months, you can come back and join us at a later date for a Q&A that's specific to your questions. So that's not the right coupon code, is it? It's Tara 30. I thought I changed that. I do apologize. Is it Tara 30, Tara?
Yes, it's Tara 30.
Tara 30. Ignore that one. So Tara 30, and that will be in the email that goes out with the replay. TARA 30, and the link that we have in that slide, which I'll get back to in just a second. I have a bunch of testimonials in here that talk about our students and what they learned and what they got from this program. I am not going to go read these to you or anything. You'll get the slides if you would really like to read the testimonials. I think some of them are very important. Linda loved this program. Again, she's a USA Today bestselling author, but this was her first time doing a nonfiction book. She had so much good stuff to say about it. We have Christina, who is our largest children's book launch ever, with 1,500 print copies of her book sold at launch, which is huge for a first-time author. She really enjoyed the program as well. Marilyn loved that she could come in and ask questions or listen to other people's questions. Kim actually was one of our people in the first round who didn't have a lot of time to market. But she came into the program. She did what she could immediately. She was able to get to a new release banner in the parent and adult child. She also used our social media tools and has built her TikTok account. To the last time I checked it, which was months ago, she had over 40,000 followers, and she's really using social media as a way to promote her coaching and her book and all of those types of things. Again, Emily really loved the social media aspects that we taught her on how to create content for social media and how to use those, that she was able to grow her ARC list with that. Pat loved it. Wealth of knowledge. We give lots of great information and launch strategies. Some of our other book covers. I'm trying to get through here so I can answer your questions. Again, I apologize. It's Tara 30 and it ends on 5/6. I looked at this slide like 6 times, switched the links, swear I switched it, but you know how that goes. So anyway, Tara's going to send out the replay with the slides. I will make sure she has updated slides and all of the information will be included in there. Okay, I went through that really fast. I only see one question in the Q&A box, so I'm going to, why is this not moving forward? I hope I'm not frozen. Am I frozen?
You are not frozen.
Okay, good. I don't know why that wasn't. Oh, that's the last slide. That's why it's not moving forward. Let me just go ahead and stop my share, and I do apologize for that mistake. But okay, how much can you, Caroline wants to know, how much can you expect to pay for a Kirkus review? Any other big time review sites? There are lots of review sites that you can pay for. I'll get to in a second. Kirkus reviews, I think their normal price is $425 or $450, somewhere in there. I would, if I were you, I would go to their website today. Just go to kirkus.com. And what's that going to do? It's going to get you targeted for their ads. And they run regularly. They run an ad campaign for $75 off. I wait for that ad to come up, and then I purchase our next, if we have a review publishing within the next 4 to 6 months or going to need to be purchased, I grab their coupon code and use that. So you can save that $75. Sometimes it's $50. But yes, I would plan to spend, so Clarion reviews, again, I believe is in the $400 range. If you're an IBPA member, they have a slight discount that brings that down a little bit. There's Indie Reader, which I think is about $350. I mean, there's one of the benefits of Book Launch in a Box is we've done a lot of research on a lot of editorial and trade review sites and collected it all together. So you don't have to go out and search for them. We have them there ready for you. But yes, there are lots of sites. And what I would encourage you to do is 2 to 3, budget for 2 to 3, and try to get it in a couple of the bigger names. But then there's a lot of, if you've done your work to submit your book in advance, there are a lot of editorial, not the trade reviews you're going to have to pay for as an indie author, but editorial reviews can be things like Washington Post, San Francisco Chronicle, New York Times, your local newspaper, any of those they also do editorial reviews that you don't have to pay for, but you have to submit fairly early. You need to have some great a great pitch to them. If you know somebody who can help you get in, that's even better. But they almost all of those major outlets and even local outlets have some type of, on their masthead, you can find things about editorial reviews, or in their Google it and see what their submission process is for book editorial reviews, etc. And if
Clarion does one in partnership with Blue Ink where they sell it together, so you get the 2 of them for $628.
Yes.
Which is a really economical way of getting 2 reviews.
Yes, exactly. There are plenty of opportunities to do that. Thank you. Blue Ink's another good one. In terms, and so I think we answered Caroline's question there. Okay. I don't have any other questions in the Q&A box. Did anybody have another question that maybe didn't get answered, or this has been a very quiet group? I don't know if that means you're overwhelmed, bored. I answered all your questions.
It means we loved you, Alexa.
Tara, how did you feel about that? Was that, as another publisher who launches books as well, did you learn anything? Did you feel that covered the important pieces? Is there anything that you all do that's different from what we talked about?
Of course, every publisher has their own unique things that they do.
Yes.
For us, when we're trying to get the trade reviews, we'll often try and go for the ones that we can get as a publisher. So it's one of those things that we can get a Kirkus review without having to pay for it, but we also need the 4 to 5 months ahead of time. And we have to sit and wait to find out whether or not they're going to give us one, because just because we can submit doesn't mean we're going to get one.
Yes.
So paid ones kind of mean that you end up with confirming, knowing that you're going to have it, which can be great for peace of mind. We submitted to a bunch of different ones for one particular book, and gave that the 4 months that needed, and we didn't get a single one. So it was like we deleted, we wasted that time almost.
Yeah.
Because we could have been getting book sales at least,
Yeah.
but it's worthwhile to try for too. So
yeah, for sure. Especially if you're publishing a lot of books. I mean, that gets really expensive putting all of those in there. And Terry's here too. Hey, Terry. Now, Terry is the master on awards and reviews and things of that as well. So yeah, I mean, I think all of these things are things you can or don't have to do. That's the name of the game. Is book marketing comes into what you're willing to do, how much time you have, and how much of an impact you really want to have at the end of the book. If you're working with Tara already, you're in great hands. She's going to do all the things. I've seen her in action on her book launches. So, that's the benefit of going with a publisher, is that someone is steering the ship on all of these things and giving you the resources to do what you need to do as an author. But I would say that, in summary, it's work. It's work, and there's a lot of things to do, and growing a readership is not an easy thing to do. But I'm telling you what, the results of people who have done the work to grow that audience, to create the buzz, to find opportunities, to get in front of new audiences, to continue to grow, to use their email list, those things, regardless of genre, have much different results than anything else. So
yeah, I agree with everything you've said in this presentation. The one thing that I do present a little differently is we always talk about the fact that there's an investment of either time or money.
Yes.
And most people tend to think time is they're spending $0.
Correct.
But what's happening, it's not, because you have to think about the fact that that time can't be spent writing the next book or doing other money-making activities related to it. So, you have to really assign a dollar figure. Even if you pay yourself minimum wage for the amount of time you're spending, you need to think about it as this is something of value. It's not, time is free, so it doesn't matter. It's like, no, ascribe a number to it, because it does cost something. And sometimes having a professional do it or guide you through the process, like with your school that you do and all these neat programs you have, having somebody who can take you by the hand and say, this is what you do next, can make a huge difference in getting stuff done.
Yes, there is no free book marketing. It's not possible. There is some kind of investment, whether it's your time or whether it's the tools that you have to use to do all the other things. I agree with you 100%. And if you're, there, even I will say, like, even when you pay somebody a lot of money to do book marketing, the results are still going to be dependent on your level of engagement. And I know this to be a fact because I used to run a book launch package, and it had to be a lot of money because we invested in all of these things that I've just told you about: the trade reviews, the editorial reviews, paid reviews, or paid promos, tours, all of these things that cost a lot of money. And even doing all of those things, if the author sat back and did nothing, book sales still were not awesome. If the author got engaged, did some appearances, was, creating engagement on social media, was sharing and doing all those things, the sales were significantly different. So no matter what you decide to do, you have to be involved in this, no matter what your publisher is doing. And I think Terry and Tara would agree with me on this. No matter what they are doing, they cannot spend enough money in the world to make up for an author who is not being engaged in some way, shape, or form, even if it's finding book clubs or going on or blogging or doing things that don't require you to be out in front of people. It makes such a big difference. So
the author truly has to be visible in the process.
yes. So, okay. Well, I appreciate you bringing me in front of your audience so much. I appreciate everybody who came and spent time with me today and went through that. I hope you learned something new and are able to use these tools to make some changes or find the right person or work with Tara or whatever you are doing to make these things happen. And again, that if you decide that you want a program that walks you through the process, the book launch in a box 30% off will expire on Friday. So please grab it before then. And we would be thrilled to have you join us in there. Otherwise, I don't have anything else to say.
Well, thank you, Alexa. We really appreciate you coming and speaking to our audience. I'm sure that everything you've put together for the book launch in a box is going to be awesome. I know Pamela Shepard as well. And of course, all of those fundamentals of the metadata and understanding your competitive research and all that neat stuff. She's just awesome with that. So I know there's going to be a lot of great content in the book launch in a box. So thanks for coming and sharing a bit about it with our audience.
Thank you so much. Good luck with your marketing, everyone, and we will see you soon. Oh, and I get to see Pam tomorrow. Yay! At Pub U, Terry. I hope you're going to be there. Tara, are you going?
I am not.
Oh, sadness. All right. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you again,
Bye.
Tara. Bye.